All right, this is the Unit 2 corrective. I'm going to kind of go through this pretty quickly. If you need a better in-depth look at how to do this or the equations that are used, go back and look at the individual videos of Unit 2. But I'm going to be moving relatively quickly in this video. Here we go. Questions 1, 2, and 3 are the transitions between fractions, decimals, and percentages. How we transition from these things is between the fraction and decimal. I advise you use the SD button on your calculator, the SD button. To turn a decimal into a percentage, what you would do is you would multiply by 100, but you would divide by 100 to turn a percent back into a decimal. But if you do those things, you should be fine with what you need to be doing. So for instance, number 1, they give us 4.5%, and they want to know what is the decimal equivalent. So this would be the situation where I would have to divide by 100. So 4.5 divided by 100 gets us 0.045, or aka 0.045 right there. Here they start us off with a decimal of 0.85. 0.85 is what they start us off, and they want to know what is that as the percentage. So again, going back to what I know that I would have to multiply by 100 to turn it in that direction. So 0.85 times 100 comes out to be 85%. Last but not least is what is 103%? What is 103% as a fraction? So what I would do is I would divide by 100, and then hit that SD button. And there it is. So in general, percentages are always out of 100, so that is a pretty safe bet. Okay, number 4 is the down payment question. I know that I have mentioned this to have this on your formula sheet several times. Again, if you do not have that, here's what those formulas are. Again, I apologize for the bell. So if you're figuring out what the down payment is, if that's what the question is asking for, you take the percentage times the home value. If you're looking for the maximum home value, what you would have to do is you have to take the down payment that you have available, the actual money, and divide it by the percent that you are required to put down. I'm not exactly sure what is on the official test, but these are the 2 formulas that will get you to what you need. So in this particular problem, this one is asking us to determine the maximum home value. This is the question. All right, so this is going to be the formula that I would probably want to use. So for this, I take the down payment that I have available, and I divide by the percent that I'm required to put down. Okay. The next one is we are taking a discount. So to use a percentage, all right, to use a percentage, we take the percentage and we multiply it by the number that we need to apply it to. So for instance, I am able to take 20% off, so I'm going to use that percentage. So that would be 20% of that $90. So 20% of that $90 is $18. Now, again, I'm not sure exactly what question is going to be asked on the test, so I will prepare you for both. This would be the discount. This would be the amount that you get to take off. Sometimes they'll ask, well, what is the sale price? In that situation, what you have to do is you have to take the price of the product and take off that discount that you get to take. And so that would mean that the sale price would be $72. Now, again, I'm not sure what they're going to ask, but it's better to be prepared for both. So how much will the discount be is the question. All right, so this one very specifically is asking for that $18. But again, I don't know what's going to be asked on the actual test. Be heads up about that. Get both of those on your formula sheet. Like I would write like a little brief mini example so you could follow the example that you have. Okay. Last but not least, I believe we are asked to make a percentage. And to make a percentage, you take what you're looking to make a percentage of, what are you looking for, and you divide by the total. Okay, that's times 100. All right, so here we go. We are looking for, find the percent that were women's shoes. All right, so what we need to do is we need to take the number of women's shoes, and that would be 7,000, and divide it by the total number of shoes, and that would be the 11,200. So that is what we should probably do. All right, so that is the first page. Again, go back in the video to see if there's any formulas that I kind of scurried over that you might want to have on your formula sheet. All right, next, this entire page is either absolute change or percent change. So I will give those ideas right here. If they're talking about absolute change, all right, absolute change is going to be the new minus the original. Excuse me, blame the last. It's not the division, sorry. It's just the new minus the original, sorry. Contextual clues, news are what they go to, originals are what they come from. All right, so here, determine the absolute change is the question. So they give me from 14,000, so that would be the original, to 12,200. So I'm able to identify my new and my original. So in this particular case, that would be the new minus the original. So that went down $1,800. All right, so that is an absolute change. It's just the basic subtraction. Comparatively, the percent change starts pretty much the same way, new minus the original, but this time we have to divide by the original, and then times 100. So again, I still have my from and I still have my to. So again, make sure those go in the correct places, but everything else will pretty much take care of itself. So this is the new minus the original divided by the original times 100. So this went down 12.86%. Okay. All the other problems on this page are just some version of this, absolute or percent. Just make sure you answer the question that is being asked. So again, if they ask you to determine the percent change, do the percent change. If they ask you to do the absolute change, do the absolute change. Again, read the question. So here we go. Absolute change. So this is going to be the absolute change, which is going to just be the basic subtraction. Percent change. Percent increase. That's a percent change. Then again, percent decrease. Again, don't sweat the small stuff. That's a percent change. Really, the only way that people get these problems wrong is literally misidentifying these things. So this was the from, this was the to. That is like one of the only ways that people get these problems wrong, is they misidentify the new and the original. So again, take your time, right? Take your time, it's okay. All right. Cool. Last but not least is the equation writing. This is probably the most difficult. Right, so the big ideas, and again, if you need to know about the letter N, go back and watch a video. But here is the basic concept of equation writing. Okay, the letter A will remain the letter A, the letter T will remain the letter T. So we have to be able to identify the I, which stands for the initial amount, the inside, which usually spawns from the rate that they give you, and then the letter N every once in a while you have to figure that out. All right, so if you can identify those things, you're doing pretty well. Other really crazy important equations. If they ever ask for the rate itself, what you can do is you can take the inside value that they provide minus 1 times 100, and that will be the rate. If you're writing an equation and you need to figure out, well, what is this inside? Well, what that is going to be is 1 plus or minus the rate that they give you out of 100. Plus being the thing is increasing, minus being the thing is decreasing. So here we go. Number 13. Okay, they give us an equation, and they want to know the value of the car was, and so they're asking for the initial value, and then the rate is, and they're obviously asking for the rate. So the initial value is that outside number, and that's obviously 16,000. Okay, now the rate. What I'm going to do is I am going to use the rate equation. That's why I'm telling you these things. So the rate equation, I'm going to follow the formula that we have written. So this equation, the inside, you can play one last, the rate is going to be equal to 1, last. It's going to be the inside minus 1 times 100. The inside being this 1.02 that you see. That is the quote-unquote inside. So I am going to take 1.02 minus 1 times 100. So 1.02 minus 1 times 100, and that will be a 2% increase. Easy as that. Follow the formula. Follow the formula. Follow the formula. All right. Next, we are asked to, in essence, write our own equation. So let's kind of put this to the side here right quick and identify the big time players in this particular problem. All right. First thing I need to know is our initial amount. And then, so that was $500. They give us a rate which increases by 8%. Okay, so I'm going to instantly turn this in. So I need to know what the inside number is. And what that is going to be is 1, in this case, plus the percentage. So that's going to be my inside number. That goes inside the parentheses. Last but not least, I need to know the letter N, and that occurs every 3 years. So that's going to be a fraction of a third. Okay, again, if you need help with N, take a look at, I forget exactly, I think it's like 2.5a assignment. I go in depth about the letter N. But anyways, this is all the big time pieces of my equation. So don't forget the letter A, don't forget the letter T. So A is equal to I, the inside to the N, T. That is the equation right there. So none of the above. So beginning again with the outside is supposed to be 500, so that obviously eliminates that. The inside has to be 1.08, so that eliminates those. And then the exponent has to be 1/3 t, or i.e. t over 3, but that is not there, so none of the above. But what I have written here in black would be the correct answer. Okay, this next question is determine the value. Okay, so we need to actually do an equation. But we begin it pretty much the same way as writing. We find the initial amount. They give us a rate that is 4.3%, which means that the inside is going to be 1 plus 4.3%. And this is occurring every year. All right, so n is equal to 1, but this one we actually need an answer. We need to know how many years this takes place. So this takes place in between 2020 and 2038. So a simple subtraction tells you that that is 18 years. So A, I, inside, n is 1, t happens to be the number 18. Okay, everything else will be an equation. That's the only time that you're going to get an answer. So you're not going to be getting an answer for 16 and 17. It's just equation writing in essence. So, yeah, this one asks us to write an equation. Cool, let's do that. So this needs an I. It gives us a rate of an increase of 7%. This is occurring every 4 years, so that's a fraction. So A, I, 107, N, T. Again, don't forget the letter A, don't forget the letter T. This one is asking us two questions. What is the initial value and what is the rate? So the initial value is the outside number. Now the next question is asking for the rate. And again, we have an equation for that, right? The rate that I'm looking at is right here. This is what I'm referring to. Okay, this is asking for what is the rate. So I'm going to do that formula right there to figure out our rate. So the rate is going to be the inside minus 1 times 100. So that is going to be 0.78 minus 1 times 100. 0.78 minus 1 times 100. That's down 22%. So that is our rate. Make your answer obvious. Clearly write your answer. That is how we do this correctly.